I've summarized step by step what's actually happened in the world, and I want to just go through that for you. So step number one, in the last few years, right, we had a lockdown world, right? We created major supply chain issues across the entire globe by forcing people to shut down. And yes, we gave them money, right? Which is step number two. We injected a metric ton of liquidity into the markets to shore up demand from the lockdowns. We thought if we have all this lockdown, we need to shore up demand. So what are we going to do? We're going to add a bunch of liquidity into the market. So then everyone around the world started printing and debasing their currencies. We then experienced prices rising because of severe supply chain constraints. That's point number three. It makes a lot of sense. If people have a bunch of liquidity and there's a bunch of supply chain issues, basic supply and demand states that if supply goes down, prices have to go up. But what we did, step number four, is we blamed the price rises on the liquidity pump. Sure, there was some effect from the liquidity pump for sure, but not to the extent that people claim, and now that's becoming obvious, and some of us have been saying that for a while. The supply chain had much of a higher effect on prices than the liquidity pump did in terms of pumping up demand. Sure, it pumped up assets, but in terms of actual prices, that was more supply chain issues. Number five, we then have a severely and sharply, we have then severely and sharply increased the cost of borrowing money, thinking that by rapidly increasing the cost of demand through interest rates, the cost of borrowing money to create demand, we could affect prices in the economy. This interest rate hike cycle has been more violent and aggressive than ever before. Powell, this is important here because this is where doom and gloom boomers like to get off. Powell makes Volcker. They say, "Oh, we're entering Volcker times." We've blown so past Volcker times. It's shocking. So Powell makes Volcker look like a child. You have to judge the rate of change and not the actual number or the percentage, right? You have to actually judge how fast and how much the changes happen. Volcker took the rates from 10% to 20%, which gives people a lot of PTSD. But Powell's done an 18, but it's more now. It's like 21 times rate increase, and Volcker just doubled it. So the rate of change is very, very important. And then step number six. So now that the cost of demand is going up to record highs, by the way, and completely breaking the 40-year cycle on interest rates in the US, and this has shocked the markets and caused bank failures. Sure, there's some argument that there is the capacity for bank failures in the US is quite high because there's just so many local banks. The US has 3,500 banks. Like some consolidation is important. But where we've broken this 40-year trend line on interest rates and the cost of borrowing money, so you're going to have to pay for that at some point. The cost of, point number seven, the cost of demand being adjusted like this normally takes 12 to 18 months to find its way into the economy, which means right now in July or August, really, it's July 31st today, but August of 2023 is really when we start to see the effects of this cost of demand being raised in the economy. So right now, shit's about to hit the fan. And people are still talking about raising interest rates further, right? And this means that, yes, while it's had a small effect, it's not had the main punch. The actual real salvo, the real show is about to begin. And point number eight, the Fed's claim that increasing the cost of demand has had an effect on prices when what we've really seen is the expectation of the cost of demand rising and the psychological operation, the psyop of the Federal Reserve, reduced demand. If somebody tells you tomorrow's going to be bad, 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 today you're going to start saving, right? And that's really what's happened with the Fed. They've done a fantastic psyop to keep people from spending and bring prices down, right? At least as much as that demand lever could affect prices. And if people expect things to get tougher tomorrow, you stop spending today. It's very, very simple. However, point number nine, in reality, as we can see with commodity prices and second-hand car prices and housing availability, as the post-COVID supply chains loosened up, prices have started to come down. And so therefore the supply chain was affected in a big way. So point number 10, we have falling prices due to supply chains repairing themselves, and we are now about to enter into a world where the effects of sharply and violently raising the cost of demand is about to start hitting. Think about that. We have not even started increasing, started feeling the effects of increasing that cost of demand. And that's about to start hitting while supply chains have been managed, while American companies and companies around the world have done a great job at reducing costs based on the PSYOP that's happened, and people have done a great job. We are hitting a very, very dangerous and precarious period here, you know? So just give me 1 second. I just lost the tweet. I'm just going to find it again. Right. So that takes us on to, you know, we've got supply chains healing, and we've got the cost of demand, the effects of the cost of demand that's about to start hitting. This is a very, very dangerous time period that we're in right now, right? So we're already, point number 11, we are already down to a 3% year-on-year inflation. This is without the cost of demand truly hitting the market. Point number 12, all of this is happening while more than 50% of the CPI basket of goods is already in active deflation. Point number 13, we're about to see housing costs hit deflation, secondhand car prices hit deflation, and that is going to take the overall CPI basket into a deflationary environment. Point number 14, we are not even yet paying for the sins of increasing that cost of demand above the 40-year trend line. We're not even started paying for that yet. We have not even started paying for this yet, right? And point number 15, thus, we are about to hit a point of aggressive deflation, not inflation, which is what doom and gloom boomers say. Doom and gloom boomers say that we are about to hit a point of inflation. And inflation's about to tick up because of all of these things that the Fed is doing and the amount of liquidity that will be coming that be loosened up. No, we're about to hit a point of aggressive deflation. And as a result of that, monetary policy will need to be, again, violently adjusted to reduce the cost of demand to match the deflation that's coming. There cannot be deflation in an inflationary system. And unless anyone is willing to tell me that the United States has changed the business plan of the US dollar, I don't buy it. Therefore, we are going to see an aggressive and violent reduction in cost of demand, which would be the interest rates, over the next couple of years, because there is nothing else that you can do. If you hit deflation, you are going to screw the entire world and the US dollar up, and you're going to increase the rate at which people are moving away from the US dollar. So you cannot afford that. So we are going to hit aggressive monetary policy being loosened up in an aggressive way. This is going to be more aggressive than 2020. This is going to be, it's going to be scary, and all the doom and gloom boomers are going to wonder while their heads are spinning what the hell happened. And while we are here, we are already we're less than 6% away from all-time highs in stock markets. Less than 6% away from all-time highs in the stock market. And we're already we haven't even hit this period of deflation and monetary policy loosening and things like that. We're about to hit one of the biggest bull markets for a stretch of period like you've never ever imagined. This is as bullish as fuck as it gets at this point. And therefore, point number 16, I predict a 2% drop in interest rates by the end of 2024. and a beginning of a raging bull market, right? Point number 17, growth assets will become preeminent, will move to a preeminent position again, sending the value bros back to the ice ages where they belong. Because value doesn't make sense in an inflationary environment. You want the growth. You want the growth assets. While it's been a good 2 years for value bros, they gotta move on. They gotta move on. They gotta reposition their assets. And point number 18, and finally, and Bitcoin being the highest risk on, most aggressive growth play, will go to the moon. I think this content is important. So please share this video to anyone who you think might benefit from it, anyone who you think might get an understanding that is different to what they're saying, especially doom and gloom boomers. I want doom and gloom boomers. I want this video put in front of doom and gloom boomers so that in 2 years, when interest rates have dropped, the world hasn't collapsed, Bitcoin's to the moon, etc., we can all look at them and say, hey, how's that doom and gloom booming coming? Are you ready to move over to the bullish as fuck side? That's what I want everyone to do, because we got to bring these doom and gloom boomers. You know, there's the meme in Bitcoin, which is cry harder. And I want to urge people to care harder. I care about these doom and gloom boomers. I care about the $1,000 net worthers. I care about all these people. I care about the $10 a month DCA gang. So we got to put this video in front of them. Let's make them realize what's about to happen. They'll probably hate you for it, call me stupid, etc., and then in 2 years we can reevaluate. Remember, only 3 rules to Bitcoin. Step number 1, you buy Bitcoin. Step number 2, you shut the fuck up. And step number 3, you can put in the comments.